5 a.m. morning. It was 5 o'clock in the morning when Blair and Masson hurriedly made their way to the Luxor Lodgings Hotel, where they were supposed to arrive at 10:30 p.m. Exhausted from their long and difficult journey, they stumbled through the hotel entrance, drained of energy. The darkness of the early morning surrounded them as they quickly headed towards the entrance, desperately seeking relief from their weariness. He hides his short curly black hair under a hoodie, and his warm brown eyes look curiously around people. Walking was becoming challenging for them, as they were wearing designer clothes for the first time today. Neither of them could afford such expensive clothing, but Masson was unsure where Blair had obtained so much money. When he asked her about it, she changed the topic and he didn't press further. Even if it was just for one day, he felt a sense of wealth. With anticipation and apprehension, they cautiously entered the hotel. Their hearts pounded as they were met with an unsettling silence, contrasting the usual bustling atmosphere. The surroundings were illuminated by the flashing lights of police cars, casting an ominous glow on the scene before them. His detective sense was telling him that it's a crime scene. Police officers, dressed in black uniforms, patrolled the area while taking photos of crime scene evidence with large cameras attached to their belts. As soon as Mason saw his senior detective Dairo, he quickly hid his face. As they approached the fountain, the sight of the yellow caution tape sent a shiver down their spine. It was a stark reminder that something terrible had happened within these walls. The words, "Do not enter," seemed to mock them, warning of the horrifying scene that awaited their arrival. Two exhausted police officers stood guard, their faces showing a mix of fatigue and disbelief. Their eyes met Blair's, silently conveying the seriousness of the situation. It was evident that they were not prepared for what lay beyond that forbidden boundary. They prohibited them from coming here. Masson quickly turned to Blair as he caught Dairo's eyes. Taking a deep breath, he gathered the courage to speak. "What could possibly happen here, Blair?" he asked, not sure what to say. His voice was barely audible. Blair mirrored his shock and confusion. Her usually composed demeanor faltered as she searched the area for answers that were yet to be discovered. "Looks like we're too late," Blair responded, a tinge of regret in her voice. "The meeting must have already ended." Blair's response really caught him off guard. He was quite surprised to see Blair tilting her head back and gazing up at the towering height of the hotel. "There has been a murder here, Blair," he tried to remind her. She first looked at him and then at the police officers standing in front of them. "But we didn't come here for this murder case. The police will take care of it. We're actually late because Thomas Martin must be gone by now." Her words reminded him of their mission for being here. They walked into the hotel's spacious hall, trying to hide their identities by keeping their heads held high. All the staff at the reception were watching them. Blair took out a golden card with a capital O written on it from her designer bag. "Opulent Heights Penthouse Mastercard." Masson looked at her in surprise, leaning in to whisper in Blair's ear. She just smiled in response. Being a chef, she is well prepared, as if she is a professional spy or an undercover agent. They approached the sleek glass elevator at the end of the hall, its doors beckoning them to step inside. As they entered, the elevator operator greeted them with a polite nod and pressed the button for the Opulent Heights Penthouse on the 100th floor. The doors closed, enclosing them in a small mirrored space. As the elevator began its ascent, Masson couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and nervousness. Reaching the penthouse was no ordinary feat. The elevator glided smoothly upwards, the soft music playing in the background adding to the air of mystery. He felt as if he were about to be granted entry to one of the most secure locations in Washington. The man who owned it, Dylan Gabriel, was an influential figure, and a billionaire. He knew of Dylan's many philanthropic efforts to help poor people and others of every kind. He is a self-made person who owns many businesses, including Gabriel Foundation, where he provides free education, health checkup and food for the homeless. Being his friend Ethan had a meeting at his place today, as Dylan stays in New York. Blair and Masson exchanged a knowing glance, silently reminding each other of the importance of their task. Blair had been sent here to retrieve a valuable piece of information that could potentially change the course of history, and Masson had only come to help his fiancée. He knows it's not that important, but since Blair asked him for help, he's doing it only for his love. As the elevator doors opened on the 100th floor, they stepped out and their eyes immediately locked onto the sleek black door of the penthouse. Blair confidently inserted the golden card into the electronic lock as if this is her usual place to visit. With a soft click, the door swung open, revealing a truly breathtaking sight. They entered the penthouse and cautiously began exploring. To their surprise, there was no sign of anyone except for a girl peacefully sleeping in Ethan's master bedroom. Blair and Masson exchanged glances, realizing that not only was Thomas Martin absent, but Ethan himself was not there. They definitely come late. Not only Thomas Martin, but Ethan too, Masson muttered, looking at Blair. We're really late. Thieves often leave their mark as they go, Masson, Blair replied cryptically. Stop repeating my words, Miss Detective B, Masson chuckled. By the way, why did you come when you knew we were late? Blair rolled her eyes when he called her B. It's not like she doesn't like it. She just likes anyone to call her B except one person. Because Ethan is still inside, she said confidently and looked into his eyes. And how are you so sure about this? Masson raised his eyebrow. I know something that you don't, she smiled and winked at him.